Well, I think including us in the beginning, public health was kind of a mystery. We didn't really completely understand their functional role in the county.
Well, my perception of public health generally before I began even working with Head Start programs, I didn't really know too much about it. Didn't realize there was different departments.
Thank you.
We depend upon the public health department to be the custodian of the better public good.
We really see our relationship, the state's relationship with local counties, as a partnership. It's certainly something where we're both autonomous, but we have the same goals in mind.
I don't think most people think about what public health does. That they probably don't even think that it exists. Maybe those that think about it a little bit more might think back to the sort of traditional days from 100 years ago where they're involved with checking people coming off of ships and making sure they don't spread disease that way.
I knew about public health because of our MMRS program, but wasn't highly visible.
I thought public health was basically, they would check on cafeterias to make sure that, that their refrigerators were off the ground, 6 inches.
邊個去咗醫生度打針啊？邊個怕打針啊？哦，咁叻啊，咁好啊，咁咧？
Probably before this, the whole H1N1 thing, that relationship was probably very poorly understood. But I think one of the important things about the relationship is once you understand the public health's mission, you kind of understand what the relationship's going to have to be.
With the public perception and how it is that they don't really see us as a public health entity, which is exactly what we are. And it really showed its form when we had the H1N1 pandemic emergency, where we needed to work with the public health department. They facilitated their distribution of vaccines and also equipment through the fire service to set up emergency sites to vaccinate the public. And so the perception that the public should have also is that the public health department is not just a singular entity with clinics that are stationary and so forth. They also participate in emergency response to disasters such as this.
Alameda County, they're more than just people in a building. They actually come out of the building and they outreach to people.
Last winter, there was a public education seminar that was conducted in one of the local community colleges, and two of the speakers, myself being one, and a staff member from public health, in a personal discussion, basically played a game of what if.
Public health brought it to my attention out through the emergency managers meeting.
Probably started with some phone calls from the city of Fremont to the public health department, knowing that the pandemic had started, that weren't returned by the public health department. That they were doing their own planning apparently, and when they needed help from the city of Fremont, they contacted my superiors, who eventually involved me.
What we want them to do, first of all, is to meet with us, and we do meet, and that we have a common plan that we operate from.
Utilize the fire department and our relations with the other city divisions to go ahead and find locations, sites, volunteers, and so forth.
Our work with Alameda County began probably about 2.5 years ago. The county had called on Granger and asked us to compete for an area of business to help create their instant control vests and different N95s for pandemic response.
We were asked to come and, one, observe, but observe from the perspective of what could we as CARD bring to this issue in terms of Alameda County has an incredible commitment to doing the pod not just right, but in such a way that the diverse members of this community will be fully served.
Collaboration is nothing more than an MOU, a memorandum of understanding. I'll get along with you where I have to. A partnership is one where we get together and we collectively identify where we want to go in a partnership together, and we are going to mutually support one another.
It took an event like this for us to work closer and really understand the value of public health and how the fire department locally could help support public health and public health support the fire department.
Definitely to put a face to a name and to see people in real life definitely has an impact.
It means that the community now has a level of ownership and engagement to this process. They can go back to their own communities and talk about how they were part of this, what happened, the positive experience they had just being here today.
She calls me on a Sunday and asks, well, can you get us N95s? And Zara Lynn was so far ahead of the pandemic that they already had more N95s than just about anybody in the whole state of California. And that was by virtue of the relationship that she had with us that we built over time.
Partnerships are critical. Without them, we're going to do two things. We're both going to do the same work that's unnecessary, or one of us is completely going to get off on a tangent and essentially even work against the effort of the others. So the combination of the state and the local health departments is imperative for us both to succeed.
It just strengthened our relationship, and now we know how to work together. Our communication has improved. We know that they're there for us, which is big in regards to supporting us, providing us with supplies, supporting us with the paperwork. We're in it together all the way.
And I think from the end of this, what we've learned is that the partnership was able to grow and the trust was able to develop between the fire department and public health.
Your mission is to dispense oral medications, that is, pills, to an entire community within 48 hours. This is a time-critical emergency, so speed is essential. Remember, rule number one in a time-critical event is speed equals survival. This is why we practice for anthrax.
They're set up to do a lot of the behind-the-scenes things that we were actually unaware of at first.
Public health needs to know that most people in the fire service really don't know much about public health. That we do know how to respond to emergencies and mobilize a lot of resources and support a lot of things and manage an incident, but thimerosal-free, for example, is a term that most people in the fire service probably don't know unless they have kids or a pregnant wife or something.
The level of supply cache that they had was significant, had no idea. Their level and ability to go ahead and get us the supplies that we needed and requested.
Now the county, I felt, had a great system as far as paperwork, screening, criteria, and that helped us with the incident command and control section of it.
So they had the supply, I had the location, I had the families.
A lot of people think that they are familiar with the incident command system, they've been to classes, maybe a small scale exercise, but very few people outside of an emergency response agency actually practice ICS on a regular basis. And there's a vast difference between the educational piece and the actual implementation of it.
We're reactionary. When people call 911, we go out to the emergency, we take care of business, we do a fantastic job, we come back from that emergency, it's over. In this case, there was planning involved. It was planning to process 2,000, 2,500 people through at one time, which is the fire department is really not used to doing that part of the planning process because we're reactionary.
Let's see what we want to do. Your water, by the way, buddy. I'm going to go get my...
Thank you, thank you.
I just got the in fact, this truck has a whole new back. Yeah, but I got a bunch. I won't need them all. You want one?
As well as you think it through and plan for the number of people that you will be able to get through a particular station and screen them, you're going to have to make adjustments.
The communication was always behind. So by the second and third pod, we had made communications early and requests earlier, anticipating what was going to happen at the second or the third pod. And by the fourth pod, we had it down.
So what was a good surprise was the level of flexibility and the great team that the Public Health Department had to assist us in that methodology and to get the job done.
I think the short list of learning through the public health and through our fire department working together was how closely that we could actually work to develop something for the public, for the taxpayers, the residents, especially here in the city of Hayward. We're able to work together to give something back.
We can be educated, and we need to be educated, that when you have special formulations of a vaccine, for example, and it needs to be handled a certain way or administered to a certain group of people, you need to communicate that up front before the pod happens, preferably days in advance.
My perception of public health has changed because I saw that there was huge amounts of sensitivity, outreach, collaborative efforts coming from Alameda County Public Health, which I hadn't seen before. So they definitely had the initiative to contact me so we can provide that service for our families.
If you'd have asked me how important that partnership was between public health and local EMS a year ago, I would have said very unimportant. Probably they're nice to visit, but we probably don't really have a lot of use for them. But today, after the experience of this unique need that arose in communities all across the country, but here in particular in Oakland, that relationship was key to us, providing a service that was really important to the community.
First responders and first receivers in public health, they're great people to work with. They're passionate about what they do, and it's a win-win situation for both parties, so it's a great part about it.
The question that we have now is, where do we go in the future? And the beauty and the answer of that is, we have a partnership.